Alrighty. Good evening, folks. Let me open up the chat. Looks like we're getting some attendees joining us now. Welcome, folks. Give it about 10 seconds, and I'm going to go ahead and get started. A couple more. All right. So, good evening, folks. Welcome to the AI Power Hour, brought to you by the Sacramento Valley Small Business Development Center. My name is Joseph Cordova, Program Manager with the Sacramento Valley SBDC, and I'll be your host for this session. Just a reminder, this is week 10, so congratulations, everyone. You made it to the very end, and I hope you've had a great time. And I know I see a lot of familiar faces in the attendee box, so glad you can make it with us each week. A couple of housekeeping notes. If you have any questions, feel free to use the chat, Q&A box. We're going to make sure to monitor both. This session is being recorded. You will receive a link to the recording along with in a follow-up email, along with a link to the previous recordings and previous handouts as well. So if you missed any session, we got you covered. So with that, I'm going to tell you a little bit, if we do have any new folks with us this evening, a little bit about the SBDC. So, right, slideshow. Welcome again. This is a quick disclaimer. I'll go ahead and drop this in the chat so you can really have it in writing in the chat. You also receive it in a follow-up email. So the SBDC, who we are, national program with over 1,000 locations. We help to stimulate economic growth through business development. Proud resource partner of the SBA, serving 36 counties in the Northern California Regional Network. The Sacramento Valley SBDC, we serve Sacramento, Yolo, Sutter, and Yuba County. So what do? We provide professional, no cost, no obligation technical assistance, business consulting, training, and resources to small business. So anything you can think of to get your business to that next level, the SBDC can help out, including AI for, as you've seen through this training series, but also if you need one-on-one assistance, we're here for you guys. This is how you sign up, very quick and easy. Visit the website, sacramentovalley.sbdc.org. Click the red sign up button. It's a quick 5-minute application portal. And that's the first step to getting you connected to these free resources. Highly recommend following us on our social media platforms and signing up for our email newsletter. You'll get right to your inbox any kind of information on upcoming trainings and anything we feel is relevant to the business community. We do want to highlight a couple of upcoming training events. We do have a how to buy a business and how to sell a business. These are both virtual, back-to-back on November 19th and 20th. I'll make sure to get you the link to our event page as well in the follow-up. This is our basic contact information. Suyi Lee Alex is our director. Info at sacramentovalleySBDC.org. Phone 916-655-2100. And our website is sacramentovalleySBDC.org. All right, with that, I'm going to hand it over to NorCal SBDC Regional Advisor, Kathy Ballard. Thank you, Kathy.
All right, thanks, Joseph. And hi there, and welcome back to the final session of our AI Power Hour series. One more big thank you to Sacramento Valley SBDC for making this workshop possible. This is not a small thing, so I really want to stop and appreciate that, and appreciate Joseph and Suyi Lee for Alex for being, making this possible. So again, 10th session, we're diving into a really practical topic. We're going to talk about how to use AI tools to make financial decisions better and to get kind of loan ready even. By the way, SBDC of Sacramento Valley has a really great advisor, Margaret Jackson, who knows a lot about finances and AI both. So if you are not currently working with an advisor and you have any interest in AI for finance, I really suggest you sign up and get started. All right, so let's talk a little bit about how this is going to work, for AI. Has anybody, please throw in chat, has anybody been using AI for financial or data analysis? I would love to know. I find that this is something that is more of a topic that few people have really gotten into. So yeah, Camelia, yep. And anybody else, please, I would just love to know if you've done this before, because I know it's hard. It's right, the majority, and if you look at this workshop, we focused on so much of marketing. Yes, we're reviewing proposals. Excellent, great, David. A little, excellent, Tish. Yep. It tends to be more of a secondary thing for many people, but it has some great possibilities to that. So I'm going to review that today. Before we start, though, I want to talk about, so you can get this handout as part of this workshop. And we're going to go through a few different sections. So we're going to go through 6 steps today. The first step is pretty simple. And it's mostly a caution, if anything, and just a little bit of what we call cleansing. So it's really about the first step before you do anything is preparing your data for financial analysis. And this is any data. I am going to talk about other data analysis at the very end besides financial data. But whether you use ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, whatever you're using, you should never upload sensitive data like your business name, account numbers, God forbid, any kind of client information. So AI works best when you are going to anonymize your information. And this is what I am sharing with you in this document as a first step, is just how to do some quick changes with the business name, even some other things that are really helpful, which is kind of for scaling your data, which is being more generic. So generic quarters or years. Anytime that you're talking about, again, sensitive data, and this is called PII, personally identifiable information, keeping that cleansed, nothing in there. Just think about if this was on a bulletin board somewhere, how would I feel about it? You would be horrified if it was your bank information. So obviously that needs to be cleansed. Any kind of account numbers, EIN, employee identification numbers, that is, anything that you're going to be doing. And so I have some, and today I'm going to use some example information as we go through this, and you're going to see I have multiple information, but you're going to see it just says income statement and it has information. It doesn't have any kind of company name, anything else to it. And that's where you want to be. So you can easily take your information that you have. Let's say you download it into a spreadsheet like what I'm doing here, and then you strip it out so that there's no information that is identifiable. And this is how you would want to work with your files, because AI is fabulous for doing this kind of work. You just want to be a little bit careful. All right, so you're going to prepare your data, and this goes through this a little bit more. I also include one other comment here, which is you can upload your data like spreadsheets or PDFs, good for lengthy data or copy and paste. But free versions of these tools tend to depend. So ChatGPT supports PDFs just fine. Claude supports them just fine. I use PDFs a lot. So PDFs, images, you can actually have just an image of your data. But as it gets more complex, you're going to want to use a PDF or a CSV, which is just how you share from a spreadsheet, right? And you save it as a CSV. So you would save it as, if I was saving this as a copy instead of an XLS, I could save it as a CSV. And that is a really good way of sharing this data too. So just some preparation thoughts to make sure this moves smoothly for you. Okay, and then when you do this, when you create anything that is in, whoops, in like I said, making sure you have the right forms, you have different formats that you can use, and it's just that, again, free versions tend to be a little bit more picky about what you do. Like Gemini doesn't support PDF uploads, but you can easily do a workaround with a Word doc or upload stuff in a Google Drive link. And so there's other ways of still working with it. So I just do a quick mention of these to think about how you're going to work with your information. So again, anonymize, which is a good example there. Scale, which means simply keeping dates to like generic quarters or years, things like that, that are going to help you. In fact, here's a prompt that you're going to find that you're going to use often. Let me collapse this a little bit and go over to our ChatGPT. And let's just start a new chat. When you're working with financial data, you're going to use a prompt, something like this, a lot of times. And I'm not going to do a full thing right now. I just want to give you an example of where we're going. You are analyzing Anonymize small business financial data. Do not attempt to infer real identities. Focus only on trends, ratios, and recommendations using the data I've uploaded, which we're going to upload typically like that, right? Right there, add photos and files. So this is going to be a way of working with information that you're doing, because you don't want it to connect this with you. Even though you might have a paid version of something and it's not uploading it to, or it's not feeding it back to the robot overlord for training, it's still out there, it's still hitting the cloud. And so being very, very careful about that is your first step. So after that, we're going to go over to defining your financial goals. And here's what we're going to do next. Actually have an example prompt there. Oh, that's the same thing I just included, so that you are again, that's just a preface to other information that you'll typically include. All right, so defining your financial goals. Before you ask AI to just start analyzing your finances, you need to know what you're aiming for. And you may not need AI to answer this. Ideally, you know enough about your business of what is it that you want financially? What do your sales need to be? What do your, if you're a restaurant, for example, there's some very typical margins that you're working towards. So all of these things, you want to have some very specific financial goals. Maybe it's a number of wholesale accounts you have. Whatever it is, you should be creating all of these kind of sales and financial goals for yourself each quarter, each year, etc. Maybe each month. If you don't know what your financial goals, there is a way that you can start working with this that's really nice, and that is simply by asking it. And I'm not telling you to, I'm not uploading information right now. So if I am, I need to include that other thing, and I would hit here and I would hit upload my files, right? And I have some examples of files that I'm going to use today. Whoops, let me just go to my demo files. And I'm going to have some files that I'm going to upload that are going to be, again, example. I've already cleansed them. I'm just going to throw this in there for now. Let's get it started with some of those. Those are my income statement for 2025 and 2026 by month. And that looks like this. These are the first 2 pages. If you have QuickBooks or whatever system you're using, Xero or whatever, you would just upload these. If you notice, I saved them as CSVs directly from this. So this is an Excel spreadsheet, and I saved number 1 and 2 as separate CSVs. Okay. And I'm just going to say, help me define 3 financial priorities for my business. Ask me questions one by one. I'm not too worried about going through this. In fact, it's very, let's skip this for a minute, because what I really need to do is give it a little bit more information about my business. Yep, it started going, it's when it wants to go, but here are details about my business. And now I'm going to ask it again, help me identify, I jumped the gun a little bit. Give it some background information. So I told it a little bit my business, and this is of course a fake business, Luna and Company. We are creating hand poured soy candles, seasonal gift sets and such. And I have a store, and I'm also selling online in Shopify. So again, a made up company, but it helps give you an idea of where I'm up to. So at least I'm going to feed it this information, and let's see what it does. Now it's thinking, and I've got it on thinking mode because I want it to take its time. What is your realistic revenue target for the next 12 months? Not best case, the sober CFO number you'd defend. This is how I have mine set up, is to be a little bit more realistic on things. Does 500K sound like too much? I'm going to ask it. It's a conversation. Remember, this isn't bad. And it's going to look at what I've uploaded and says, you've asked if, it's going to give me some contact, blah, blah, blah. It's doing some, isn't crazy, but it's only saying if your inputs aren't fantasy. It looked at my financials, so it knows. Okay. So foot traffic, set 350 to 450 and grow into 400. So it's already helping me think about what is realistic. So I'm just going to say on the lower side. Actually, let's up it a little bit, 375,000. So my point is that this prompt that I'm doing is interviewing me. So I'm defining my three financial priorities for my business, and it's interviewing me about my business and asking me questions one by one. So I'm going to say for the next questions, just to make this short, just make an assumption to get to an answer, since this is a demo. And let's see how well it does with this. But normally we would want to take some time and we want to make sure what information is it asking me. It's going to ask me about my financials. It's going to ask me maybe it asks me about how much I'm investing into the business. Maybe it's going to ask me about how busy and if we're at capacity already. And okay, we're skipping the 20 seconds dance. This is how I have mine set to be a little bit what I call snarky. Okay, so it's going to have three financial priorities: stay solvent and pay yourself without fantasy math. So it's going to give me goal 1, 90-day actions, protect margin like it's oxygen. So I'm really making sure my margins are set. All right, and then buy growth only at an efficient CAC is this is return on assets. So if you don't know what it's talking about, COGS is cost of goods sold. What is CAC? I love how it just jumped into some really heavily jargon. And if you don't like this, you could tell it to explain everything, not to use acronyms. Customer acquisition cost. Ah, of course. It's what cost you. Yep. Uh, and there we go. So it's going to tell me all of the things that are my goals. So staying solvent, paying myself, protecting my margins, and buy growth only at efficient acquisition costs per customer. So in building recurring revenue. So that's going to be typically things for advertising, stuff like that. So this is how you would plan, and we'd have a back and forth conversation. But at least giving it some of the history is going to give me a starting point. And with that, we can start moving into the next point. Whenever after you define your financial goals, you might also even ask it, what are some typical whoops. It's not taking, hold on a second. I didn't mean to do that. There we go. It's unfortunately, let's just type it in. What are some typical financial goals for a business like mine? Because it can look at other information, and I don't even have to have all of that in there. Whoops, cancel. There we go. There's that cancel. Okay, and it's going to give me some comparison because it has information on a whole bunch of businesses out there that it knows, okay, what kind of gross margins I should be getting. That's pretty high gross margin. This is for my fictional candle business. All sorts of different things, how I get, my marketing return is, inventory production. So 5 to 8 times a year. This is a lot of technical jargon too. How often should my inventory turn over? So if you have any questions about how to do this, just start asking it questions. What is DTTC? It's direct to consumer, but ask it, right? Because there's a lot of information in here and it's really packing it very heavy. So this is a helpful next step, which is defining your financial goals. I don't know how to get rid of this darn thing that's created there. Anyway, just a little accident that happened with the thing. Anyways, so let's get into step 3. So once you kind of create your overall goals, next thing you want to do is think about how do you do some strategic financial planning? So how do you turn those goals, all those basic things that we agreed on? I think we agreed on what, 3 goals, and turn them into a living plan. And AI can help you create maybe a monthly or quarterly review checklist to monitor your finances. So we could try this. Let's go here. We could do something like this. Here's what I currently do. I use QuickBooks in a monthly sales spreadsheet. How can I use AI to review my finances more strategically every quarter? Just ask it. Ask it what to do. And let's see what it comes up with. And it's still there. Thinking, thinking. And again, it's because I have it on thinking mode. I can make this a little bit faster. Now it's going through and analyzing. This is a lot. I like this whole mode, this thinking mode, because you can see what its process is, what it's doing. So it's giving it context. You can, and this gives me a little bit more confidence that I know what's happening in the background. It's a little bit more cautious. And then it still spits out an answer. Okay, and so here it's giving me how to work a little bit better with AI. And so prepping my data, running AI in 5 focus blocks, deciding what's going to work, automating the boring parts. So how I can create QuickBooks and Shopify export views, etc. So if you don't know, you can simply ask it. Another thing that I could possibly ask AI would be another alternative is doing something like this, which is where I would ask it, I'd like a simple workflow I can use each month to keep my finances on track. I use QuickBooks and Google Sheets. What do you recommend? What should I review? So it's just another way of kind of asking a similar thing, giving it what I do and just saying, what should I review? How should I track progress? What should I look at financially? I'm just being a little bit more specific instead of asking it generally, how should I use AI for my finances? I'm focusing it a little bit more. The answer might be pretty similar, or it might be a little bit different. But the goal here for this step 3 is just to get a routine that I can repeat. So whatever it is, that it's going to give me an AI and strategic financial plan that I can do every month to really track and and try to start achieving those financial goals. Note that after doing this, you might want to go back and revisit your financial goals, right? After you do some planning and say, here are how I'm going to do this. I'm starting to understand my financials better, and maybe my goals might change a little bit. Okay, let's move on to step 4, which is assessing my current financial health overall. So far we've defined our goals and built a financial planning process. And everybody can, let's see, we'll get back to there. So now let's try to get into the numbers safely. In this section, we're going to walk through how to take your real financial data, your income expenses, which were those first 2 documents that I showed you over here. Let me get. So I have a few documents that I have lined up for you. So we're going to get into these numbers, and we're going to try to get into them again safely, which means that they're nice and cleansed. And I'm going to take real financial information, income and expenses, and try to use AI to spot trends and what's happening in this information. So we're going to go through, I have income statement, I have a balance sheet for this business, I have wholesale orders, two groupings of Q3 and Q4 2025 sales, and then we're even going to get into other data analysis. So we're going to talk about reviewing your Google reviews or other reviews you might have, whether they're Yelp or whatever, and even your web page analytics. All of this applies to whatever data you're going to be analyzing. Okay, I just want to do a quick check. Joseph, can you see this spreadsheet okay?
Yep, seeing the spreadsheet.
Great, excellent. Okay, so again, getting into the current. Let me just show you where we're up to. We're on accessing current financial help. So our purpose is to use AI to analyze our financial data and uncover overall financial trends. So we're going to walk through your financial data. Again, I'm going to assume you've done like I've done, which is everything is anonymized. There's no company name, there's no other thing. And if you notice, I've used whole numbers. So this is, scaled, rounded, and it's just how you kind of prep your data to make sure it works really well. Okay, so with this, I'm going to go back to, I'm just going to use, I might stick with, let's try Gemini for a change. I'm going to upload this plus button, whether you're in ChatGPT or you're in Gemini or whatever tool, we've got this lovely plus button, which is just to upload some files. And I'm going to upload number 1 and 2, which are my sales data. And I just want to give you a reminder, sometimes uploading certain data depends on the tool, how it uploads. And I've got a prompt for you here that is, let's see, act as a small business financial coach. I'll just do it so you can read it better. Use my anonymized financial data below, analyze income and expenses, because this is my income statement. Ask me questions to clarify the business context. I often add it, I like, this is a kind of advanced technique of always asking it that it can ask you questions. Please summarize trends, highlight overspending, and explain your reasoning. This is one of my other big tips with prompts. Is there any seasonality to this business? Please explain. Please explain my fixed versus variable costs. And if you think this is normal for my business, because it does have information on other businesses. So now it's taking this prompt along with the 2 things. And if I want to be really smart, I've already uploaded them here. So I'm going to ask the same question in ChatGPT, because for those of you who have attended here before, I like to compare results. I like to see if it's saying the same thing. It's a good reality check for me. And some of this analysis can take a little while because it's reading into these 2 documents that I've uploaded, right? I've already uploaded this one, but it's still thinking because it's set on thinking mode, and that takes a little while. Okay, I'm happy to analyze, and so it sees that there's the income and expense data for 2025 and the 10 months of 2026 that ended end of October. So it wants to make sure to clarify my content, which suggests you're selling a physical product. Oh yes, I didn't give it the basic information here. So this is a good reminder that I need to go back and give it information. Again, this is a fake company, so I'm going to share with it information. Whoops, I didn't mean to do it there. I meant to do that
And Kathy, we do have
over
a
here.
raised hand from an attendee, and it looks like they added a question in the chat. Google Sheets for confidential data question mark.
Sure.
Do you want to share data with Google if they might compete with you question mark?
I'm sorry if it might compete with you. Well, again, it's not that I'm worried about them competing with me. It's not that. It's that this information is going out in the cloud and it can be accessed by people. So if you would be horrified that it is on a bulletin board somewhere, don't share it. Just think of it that way. So it's not about that. It is that it's confidential, and when it's uploaded to the cloud, how can it be accessed? So if you do that, like I said, I'm actually giving it a name, but it's because it's a fake name. And I created this business, so I'm giving it information about all of this. Just cleanse it and just follow that step number 1 that we covered, which is whatever that is. There we go. Which is, before you upload any information, you're going to follow this. You're going to be careful about having business name. You can come up with a fake name. You can just call it company A, like client 001, whatever it is. And make sure things are well masked. That's the trick. So I wouldn't say about the real data being in Google Sheets. I see what you're saying. So if the real data is in Google Sheets, um, and you're going to connect it. You might want to have another Google Sheet that is an in-between or do something else. And this is going to be a question I would actually feed to. Funny enough, when you use AI, you can ask AI about itself. And so I would say, how do I anonymize? I have my information in Google Sheets. How do I anonymize it before I run some financial analyses in it in Gemini? That would be the question for you. And it will walk you through the best steps for it. So yeah, always make sure that's the main thing. But your point is really good because it's one of the benefits about using Google is that you have the ability to connect this to Sheets. You have the ability to connect to the whole Google ecosystem, which makes it so very, very helpful. Oh boy. Okay, so we've got lots of things happening over here on let's ChatGPT. Let me go over to Gemini. And it's going to give me a summary of trends, strong growth and improving efficiency. Excellent. So see how things are tracking. Financial coaching, continue to focus on gross profit margin, highlight on spending. This is going to get into a lot of things we're not going to go into. Your overall operating expenses grew slower than revenue. Excellent, especially in a time when costs are really soaring. This is great news if, to hear that. Coaching recommendation, so it's going to give me some coaching and seasonality, a predictable and essential pattern. There has been a predictable seasonality, which is entirely normal for this business. So it's going through the peak season, the shoulder season, and the lull period. So all in there, fixed periods. So I can get some great understanding of my business and how it's operating. And then I can even use this to potentially start forecasting where am I going to go to next? What can I expect from this year? If I expect to be able to grow, let's say 15%, what does that look like month over month? So, so that's going to be the kind of things that I can start doing with that. All right, and I can also go ahead, and let's see, we've got a 30, 60, 90 quarterly finance and AI review, fast loop, 3 financial priorities, blah, blah, blah. So we've got some good stuff. Again, I'm not going to go through all this. This is really in depth. This is not a short thing, but the actual uploading in that can be very simple. It's just that whenever you see this kind of output, you're going to spend some time and really digesting it and saying, okay, what does this mean? How do I respond with this? So I'm going to upload the next document. Again, I'm going to just upload files, and I told you I have one ready. This is my balance sheet. That's what you see there. Let's see. There's my master document. That did not look like my balance sheet, though. Let me just go to it and just check. And just make sure that looked right. Okay, my balance sheet, that does not look, that is orders. So something happened and I messed that up. So I'm going to go ahead and take this again, and I'm going to, this is actually how I create it, is I saved it as a copy. I'm going to save it as a CSV. It deals better with CSVs, and I'm going to call this 3 balance sheet. And make sure it's saving to the right place. It's saving to my, yep, demo files, finance and data. Let's try that again, and let's save that again. The trick to this, that's fine, is that I'm on the right page when I'm doing it. And now I can try again and I can upload. What I find great about all this AI stuff is that you really have to be willing to just see how things go and go with the flow. So balance sheet, I can't see it, but I'm assuming it's going to be good. I'm just going to ask it, and let's make sure it's looking at the right thing. How does my balance sheet look overall? Please suggest one action to strengthen the balance sheet. Oh, there we go. And you can see that is truly my balance sheet. That was it must have been my error in saving it in the first place. Okay, and you can see it reviewing. Again, that's why I love the thinking mode. which really is, especially using the paid version. I'm using the free version of Gemini. I'm just going to do the same thing, come over here, and just ask the same question. How does my balance sheet look overall? Please suggest one action I can do to strengthen. Let's see how they compare. It's still going on here. It's doing some great analyses. Again, these aren't short things. It's hard to do this in an hour because, I mean, we're talking about complex sheets. And if you notice, for the things I did, I kept them pretty simple, right? You know, if you look at my assets, liabilities, and equity, this is super, super simple. But it's doing a lot of checking to understand it better. There we go. There's uploaded some of the thinking, a whole bunch of different stuff. It's doing some analysis. Oh my gosh, look at that. It's going crazy. So I'm going to do Gemini because it's not on the thinking mode like it is over there. So that's taking a little bit longer. So it says it looks solid and well structured, reflects a profitable and stable business. And it's going to give me, okay, how many assets, liabilities, equity. You know, this is a modest business, frankly, you know, right? So we're not talking about major stuff here. And it's going to give me some ideas about the key ratios. Suggested activities, your accounts receivable is 3,200. So it's giving me suggestion about that and what the goal might be, and specific recommendations about converting my account receivable to cash faster. Wonder if this will do the same. Short version, kill the $5,000 short-term loan by using a holiday cash sweep. So the suggestion was different. Great to try to compare and see what they're coming up with, and then take your time reviewing and saying, well, are these both? Which one do I agree with? Should be the priority right now. So it's going to give its reasoning. And if it ever doesn't give its reasoning, you can always ask it, can you please explain your reasoning? Right? Just ask it so that you understand where it's coming from. It already kind of did this, so it's just going to be a little bit of a repeat. It's done a good job of already explaining itself. Actually, this one didn't do quite as good. It did so I could ask this one. This one did a great job of explaining. Gemini, not as much. Can you please explain your reasoning? I know this is a lot, but my main point of this is that this is a conversation, and you can feel confident about creating your finances and understanding them, and going through them in details. So it's going through why it's suggesting to convert the accounts receivable to cash faster. You know, the problem is how does it explain how I do that? I can do a few things after I understand that if that's the priority. But let's move on to number 5, because we need to have enough time to go through this. So we covered assessing our current financial situation, right? And actually I did more than 3 months of financials. This is just the way I wrote the prompt so that you can always do this. Analyze my income and expenses. We went through, I also did what's not on here. I also covered the balance sheet statement. So then we can go on to, there's 2 more steps I want to show you. And one is building your loan readiness. If you are looking for a loan, this is something you can really run on your own. So once you've looked at your financial health, you can think about funding as an option. Whether it's a loan, line of credit, or a grant, preparing your documents can be super overwhelming. So AI can actually help you organize and clarify your loan readiness package in just a few prompts. So if funding is in your future, this section is going to be great for you. AI can help you prep faster and more confidently. So let's just argue that Luna & Co. wants to apply for a $75,000 loan, and we figure out what the goal is. So in this case, we're going to say it's to build out their wholesale operation, right? They're selling to a bunch of other stores who are going to retail their product. And they want to develop better packaging for the purpose and support expansion to a pop-up retail location. So let's say those are the three goals. So it already has my information in here, so I can just add another prompt. And the prompt I'm going to add now that it has some of this information is I'd like to get a loan of $75,000. And I'm telling it what I want to use through application to grow. So those things I just mentioned to you, this was part of my prompt. Plan a small business loan readiness checklist for me. What can I do now to improve my chances of getting this loan? And based on my anonymized financials, which I've already uploaded, frankly, what would the lender be most concerned about? And let's put that in here. And then let's put that in here as well. I've got a typo. I know, maybe not. I maybe corrected it. Okay. So I'm asking it a bunch of things. And for those of you who attend my class before, sometimes I might have kept this afterwards and just done this first part and broken it down into 2 steps. I'm mostly doing this because of time. Okay, so it's going to give me a checklist of all the things I need to get ready. There's a whole bunch of things there. Gosh. And what I can do to improve my approval odds. Kill that. There's that 5,000 short-term loan with the holiday profit. So that I can pay off. That will drop my current liabilities. It also shows I'm paying off my debts and stuff like that. So we've got a whole bunch of different things going on. If you don't understand any of them, again, this is how mine is set. I have mine set to be very terse and direct. So if you don't understand any with yours, ask it to explain. And if you tell to always, you can even tell your AI to always explain, right? All of these things. What is LOI? It's letter of intent, but what you can always tell it to always explain any acronyms it uses so that it doesn't do this to you. All right, so your to-do this week, this tells me what needs to be done there. And over here, we've got some primary concerns. Yep. Maximize cash reserves. So what I can do right now to prove my chances, wholesale pricing and profitability model, maximize cash reserves, the down payment. So we've got different things going on here and reviewing those. But anyways, the point is that you can actually start working on your loan readiness. I will say that we have great SBDC advisors who can absolutely help you with this process. And I mentioned our AI advisor for Sacramento, who is also a pretty adept financial person too. So it's actually very much available for you for free. So AI can walk you through your documents, though, your business plan, your financial statements, debt schedules. And so it's really helpful from that standpoint to help you think about getting your loan readiness and what you should do. So let's go into the final part of what I want to show. I want to move away from regular finances. This is finance and data analysis, and I don't want to show you purely finance. You can do absolutely credible somersaults when you upload all of your financial data, but you have a whole lot of other data too that is really important. So there's all sorts of business insights that you might have here. So I just wanted to show you how some of these might work. And so I have, for example, sales reports, Google reviews and customer comments, website traffic summaries. We could do product reviews. We could do any kind of data that you have and try reviewing them. So let's take one. Let me just grab it. I have it over here as well. Let's start with the sales report. Now I'm changing to something else. So just keep in mind, like maybe at this point, I want to create a new chat. I usually want to do a new chat when I'm doing something different. I've been following with this one company, so I kept it in this one area, but you have to decide when should you start a new chat. You don't start one single chat and keep talking about different stuff. If it's the same topic, And it's even though it's the same company, now we're talking about sales data. So I might really want to click on a new chat, and I'm going to go to, I'm actually in a specific project here, and I'm going to stay in the project if I can. Oh, I'm not going to worry about it. Let's just click new there since I can't find where. Let's see. Nope, don't worry about it. Okay. So I'm going to upload. I have sales data. Let me just show you what I've got, what I have to upload before I do it. And I have sales data for third quarter and the fourth quarter of 2025. This is really simple. Again, I was trying to keep it super easy, but let's say this is what I have, and you could be a lot more complex than what it is. So I'm going to click these two things and upload those. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing over in Gemini again. I'm going to keep it on the same place just because it's at least it's the same company, but it realistically, I would decide new chat or not at this point. But we're still talking financials, so I'm pretty comfortable even if I keep it. And I'm going to add the prompt here. I started selling my products wholesale. So I'm saying that my company just started selling wholesale in Q3 2025. Here's my Q3 and Q4 wholesale. So third quarter and fourth quarter wholesale sales data for the candle business, and they were 2025. So third quarter and fourth quarter last year. Please analyze the data based on this sales data, identify best sellers, low performers, and any seasonal trends, suggest inventory or price adjustments, and let's see what it comes up with. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing over here. And again, whenever it copies over and does that, it really doesn't matter. I often fix it just for viewing a little bit neater than what it comes up with. And let's see what this happens here. And then we're going to move into, once we are done with here, we're going to do a Google review, comments review, and website traffic. And those will be our last two. Okay, it's still analyzing there. And this is, wow, some heavy stuff, massive input on all of these lovely candles, and it's still going. So again, this takes a little while. We're asking it to review numbers. We're asking it to do some calculations and to understand. So, oh, nope, it seems to be having a problem. So if it is, let's see if hopefully this one comes through. It's another reason why, there we go, wholesale revenue by product. So it's put it in a lovely graph for us. So we know the winter balsam candle is doing the best, and then the holiday trio gift set, and how it's working over this little bit of time. So classic holiday ramp, nothing unexpected. Wholesale bestsellers, low performers. Gifts also spiked in Q4, really worked. So there's the seasonality, the low performers. Lavender Calm, no. Campfire Nights, no. So it's giving us a little bit of detail. So you can actually analyze your sales as well. And we're going to skip this one. It didn't work, and we're just, for time purposes, not going to do it. I would normally just redo it, but this time I'm going to redo another one. And the reason is because I'm going to ask something completely different. I'm not going to talk about financials anymore. I'm going to talk about Google reviews. And so maybe I would want to have this fresh. Every time that you go to a new chat, it kind of leaves the other chat behind, right? It's just like talking with a person. So we're talking about one thing. Now we're talking about something else. It's like we see each other another time and we're talking about something else. Do you want it to remember that same information or not? It's not that it will forget everything. It's just that it's telling me that, is it relevant? Okay, and so I'm uploading my Google reviews. I have let me just show you what this looks like so you can see what I did. I uploaded a bunch of Google reviews. There were 25-star reviews, 28 reviews overall. So if someone's less, there was a 2-star in there, whatever. And I just want to analyze, this is called a sentiment analysis. highlight common praise or complaints, and suggest any service improvements. So really classic. What can I do just to learn a little bit about what people are being positive about, what they're being negative about, maybe opportunities to improve. They were short reviews. They could be a lot more lengthy runs, right? So it just depends. So what people are loving, the positive things that are coming out, friction points, issues, and we're having obviously some operational problems, fulfillment, and seasonal clues to exploit. Great concrete updates. This is giving me a lot of information with just that simple upload. It's doing a great job of analyzing. And again, it's going to do another similar thing over here. And what I would do is realistically compare these a little bit, read through this one and read through this and see what how they're really lining up. If some of the conclusions they're coming with, does everything, I saw this on the other one too, I wish the stop stayed a little opener, you know, but here's my reality check is that how many people say something? If just one person, and we could program it to say this, if just one person says something, yeah, I'll keep it in my ear, but I'm not going to necessarily do anything about it. But when you start hearing two people say something, maybe you really need to pay attention there. All right, some acknowledge and leverage specific praise, operational consistency. So recommended next right, and we saw this in the other one too, some operational type of steps that were of concern, right? The common complaints, the errors, the store hours. So definitely some similarity on that, which is good. All right, and I also want to try something else. Let's see, we're at 6:50, so we're getting perilously close, but I want to try one thing completely different. And this is something that sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. So I'm going to open up a new window because this has nothing to do with our example business. This is using a complete, let's see. If I want to, this not go, let me just see. Here are my Google reviews. I'm doing it with an email, with a website address. So this is the Google reviews for Sacramento Valley, and I want to analyze my overall sentiment. Sometimes sharing a website works, and sometimes it doesn't for those who have been here before. So just always be careful to see how well that works. Come on, where's my new? Let's just do it over here. Gemini. Okay. And I'm just going to ask it over there and see how well this works. Not all tools read into websites completely well. And where did I leave that one off? That was the last one there. Okay. I can tell it's working because it says 28 reviews. It's actually reading them. And over here, who wouldn't love the SBDC, right? Our services, having so many free services for what we do. Could you please copy the text? This one was not able, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, see, this was not able to, I attempted to access the Google, but the web page requires its JavaScript. This happens all the time. So that was one reason why I wanted to show you this method too, where you share directly the web page. Sometimes it will read it like this page, like ChatGPT did this time. And this time Gemini doesn't. It just depends. There's no hard or fast rule. So the other thing I could have done is go to the web page and copy all of them, just select all the way down, take a photo, whatever it is, and upload them, and then allow it to do this sentiment analysis. So you don't always have to bring everything into the sheet like I did for here. A copy and a paste. This is one way to do it, but sometimes you can also do a quick sentiment review of this way as well. Okay. Top phrase deliverables. I'll return 1 second. Friction. All right. Oh, wait a minute. No, this did the same thing. JavaScript wall. I thought it worked. It didn't. I was looking at the wrong thing. This didn't work. So it just tells me that both of these told me that in this case, I needed to do what I did here. So sometimes try that. Sometimes it will work. Sometimes it won't. It depends on the website is a big part of it. Okay. And then let's go to the last thing, which is besides doing reviews of your, Google reviews, which are really helpful. So we know it didn't work in this scenario, but I love trying it because you'll find what works and what doesn't, right? So we did Google reviews of the PDF. I uploaded this and this worked just fine. Now let's do a website or email analytics. So we always get our website email analytics. And if anybody here has uploaded those and been like, I have no idea how to read these, simply copy them, download them, and put them in. So there's our analytics ready to go. I kept them, these ones are really super short, but I can say based on these analytics data, so this is going to be about the website. What can you tell me? Can you tell me what content is performing best, where people are dropping off? So again, if you are having challenges just knowing how to read your darn analytics, Google Analytics, or any kind of analytics you have on about your website or anything, just this is where you do a quick upload. I'm going to do on both of them. Almost there. Analytics. And I'm going to put exactly the same prompt based on these analytics data uploaded. What can you tell me? Can you tell me what content is performing best, where people are dropping off? And here we go. And this is telling me what's working well on the site. So you can get really more familiar with your site. So if you're one of those people who just goes kind of crazy, cross-eyed when you're looking at all of this data, allow it to do the analysis for you. And then also some immediate fixes. So it's giving all sorts of great information here. And here we are too, going through this sessions. It's giving me the key metrics, showing how it's going, and best performing content. We go Autumn Spice Candle for September, so it changed. All sorts of good information there. Okay, I know we're running a little bit over, but we're not quite over yet, but we went through 7 different options here. We covered uploading an income statement, balance sheet, 2 bits of sales data, and then doing Google reviews and analytics to seeing what we could do with this. And you have all of these prompts in this handout. So, plus there's Google reviews website, plus I included a couple more. So you could do product reviews, upload your product reviews, also look at your inventory or booking data, depending what kind of business you are. All right, Joseph, any questions?
Okay, so no questions as of yet. No
Okay.
questions, folks.
All right. I think it's hard on the 10th one, right? We feel like we're getting, and I know this is a lot to absorb, especially with the financial, but as long as you keep your data cleansed and feel comfortable, again, just think about it as, would you have this, how would you feel if you went somewhere and you saw your data out there? If it's not an issue, then it's safe. Just like if it is my company, I'm comfortable talking about my company. I just don't want it to be attached with my financial data, right? I don't want people being able to see that and see what I'm doing. All right. So go through these steps, see what applies to you, and try a little bit of financial analysis. That's just your one task that you can do for after this session and see how you are doing. And again, I would encourage you that if this seems daunting in any way, or especially if you're doing something like looking for a loan, work with the SBDC to do this. We can help you with not only the AI, but work through all of the steps that you need to make it make sense.
All right. Thank you, everyone. We're nearing the end of our 10-week session. We want to thank everyone for being with us throughout the 10 weeks. I want to give a huge shout out to Kathy for sharing her expertise with us over week. And as I mentioned before, you're going to receive the recording, the handout, links to past recording, links to past handouts. So you're going to have all the information from the 10-week series. So I just want to thank everyone again for being with us. Keep an eye out for any future SBDC events. And as Kathy mentioned, if you have any issues with utilizing AI with your small business, the SBDC is here to help at no cost. So we'll make sure to get that information to you. So thanks again, everyone. Kathy, would you like to say a couple of words before we sign off?
I've just been so pleased to be part of this, and I really appreciate you, Joseph, being here to host this. Again, just thanks all, and go out there and use AI for all these many different ways.
Definitely, it was my pleasure, and I'm sure we are glad to be able to provide this information to the business folks. So keep an eye out for SBDC events in the future. We'll keep connected, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great night. Have a great evening.
See you,
Bye bye.
everybody. Bye bye.